everyone, welcome to module number 4. For those of you that are new here, my name is Mosana Abraha. I'm a 4th year biomedical and chemical engineering student here at McMaster University. Today I'm going to be discussing the advantages and disadvantages associated with manufacturing locally. If this is something that you are interested in learning about, please make sure to stay tuned for the rest of this video. Before continuing on, I would like to give a big thank you to the individuals who make these modules possible. So first up, we have McMaster Chemical Engineering and the MACC. Without them, we would not be able to have this module series. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. So as promised, module number 4 is going to be interactive. Today, you are a business owner. I'm going to give you 2 options to start off your business, and you guys are going to write down which one you've selected and why. So option number 1, option number 2, okay, apologies if you guys can't really read what this is on this side. I can see that it's kind of, it doesn't look like it's too bright on the screen. However, I will be explaining it, so just make sure you're listening. So option number 1, we have local manufacturing. So this means your product that you are creating for the business is produced, manufactured, assembly, everything takes place, the whole supply chain takes place locally. So let's say we all live in Ontario and our product is manufactured and everything takes place in Ontario. However, your cost to have it made, produced, everything that takes place in Ontario costs you $50,000. Option number 2 is the exact same process that would take place locally is now done abroad. So in countries such as China, Bangladesh, anywhere, just abroad outside of Ontario, and its cost to produce is $20,000. Now, I just want to highlight and make this point very clear. Both options are producing the exact same product. So let's say your company is an orange soda company. Both end products will be orange soda. Now, I want you guys, as I mentioned, to pick which one. Obviously, one is cheaper here, but I want you to explain why you've chosen the option. Okay, I hope you had enough time to pick your option and explain why you chose that option. Before going into the advantages and disadvantages associated with both of the options, I want to quickly state that there is no right or wrong answer. Ultimately, it depends on you, the business owner's value system, and how you feel about economics, society, and sustainability. We're really bringing in that triple bottom line of sustainability concept back here. And honestly, if you feel that the option that you've chosen is best for your company, that's all that matters. Okay, advantages and disadvantages for option number 1, local manufacturing. So the first advantage we have here is communication. This is referring to the fact that you most likely will speak the same language and work in the same time zone as your manufacturer. It ensures not only seamless communication, but also clear expectations of what is expected from both ends. We also have labor standards. Labor standards is a hot topic. It's frequently in the news. And this is honestly referring to the fact that here in Canada, specifically Ontario, we have really strict policies and laws that ensures that our laborers are working in fair environments, meaning that they're not being overworked, they're getting paid adequately for all their time, and the conditions that they work in are also maintained at a level that is regulated by those policies. So shipping costs is another advantage, and shipping costs, you honestly save money here because you don't have to pay for any sort of overseas shipping that one would have to if they manufactured abroad. We have positive press. This is a marketing strategy for a lot of companies who choose to locally manufacturing, being that there are a lot of consumers who really value investing their money into companies that do locally grow their product or manufacture their product locally, and that ultimately results in more business for your company. So that is an advantage. And then we have a short turnaround time. So turnaround time means how long the product takes to go from the manufacturer to you or to come back to you. Again, because it is local, it won't take as long. And then for our disadvantages, we have costs. So if you guys remember when I introduced both options, option number 1 was more than double the price of option number 2. That could be a disadvantage for a lot of people, especially when you're starting a new business. You really want to save costs wherever you can. And then we have limited production. So because our laborers are working fair hours, they're not being overworked, you have a volume constraint. So what that means is the amount of product you can produce in a certain period of time is limited. And this is something that, as when I talk about option number 2, this is something that abroad manufacturers actually have as an advantage, because unfortunately their labor standards aren't as strict, and working ridiculous amount of hours is allowed in those areas, which allows them to produce a lot of your product in a short period of time. So yeah, these are the main advantages and disadvantages. There are of course more, but these Okay, option number 2, abroad manufacturing. First up, we're going to discuss the disadvantages. So, being that you most likely are located very far from the manufacturing site, there is limited oversight. You can't just take a quick little drive or a quick flight down to the manufacturing plant, and that kind of makes it hard to have that more interactive manufacturing process. To be there overseeing everything becomes a little bit more difficult. Also, if let's say there's something that you don't like and they've already made significant amount of the product, it's really hard to intervene and make those quick and easy changes that would be possible if you were located closer to the plant. Another disadvantage is increased shipping costs. Now, despite the overall costs being cheaper, it is more expensive to ship with the option number 2 route, being that you now have to pay overseas shipping for it to come back to you, or even just to distribute it from the manufacturing site to the different retail locations. Another big disadvantage is negative press. So as I mentioned earlier, labor standards is a big topic, and unfortunately companies that choose the abroad manufacturing route have a more difficult time ensuring that there are safe labor conditions and that the workers are being paid and are being asked or employed fair hours. Hence, it brings quite negative press to those companies that do partake in option number 2. A lot of consumers tend to stay away from investing in companies that use these avenues to make their products accessible or available to us. Hence, the negative press that also hurts your business. So there's also a culture divide that is under our disadvantages here, and this speaks more to not only the communication barriers that may arise from option number 2, but also even just as simple as holiday differences. So they may be closed for X amount of days for the holidays that they celebrate in their country that we don't celebrate here in Canada, and it could affect deadlines and just working in that time frame that you hope to have your product completed by. Of course, these are simple things that you can overcome. However, it does make it a little bit harder to navigate when working with abroad manufacturers. So next we have our advantages. So as I mentioned in the initial segment, it is much cheaper to take place or choose the option number 2, abroad manufacturing. The overall costs are cheaper. The amount that you have to pay your laborers is a lot cheaper, which really contributes to this overall cheaper cost. You also have high volume, so being that their policies are not the same as what we have here in Ontario, Canada, they can work longer hours, which allows them to produce more of your product in a short period of time, hence the high volume. They also have greater variability, so if you want to make minor tweaks on, let's say, a portion of your product, this is something that's possible with abroad manufacturing and is not so easy to accomplish with a local manufacturing. So these are the main overall advantages and disadvantages associated with option number 2. Okay, my fellow business owners, now that you've learned a little bit more about option number 1 and option number 2, I want you to ask yourself again which option you would go with and explain why. If you didn't change your answer, or if you did, I also want you to explain why. You can pause the video and give yourself enough time to answer those questions, and then join us right back after. Okay, I hope you all had enough time to write down your answers, and I just wanted to reiterate the fact that there is no right answer. You can pick one or the other, and that's totally fine. It always just depends on not only what your value system is and what you prioritize, but also just what makes most sense for your business plan and your model. Not everybody has the same situation or scenario, and it really all comes down to what's best for you. Now, I just wanted to also give you guys a few other ideas and thoughts that you could hopefully take home with you as business owners. And I want you guys to think about if there's a way that you could somehow combine the two. Is there a way that you could break up your manufacturing process so that you are also able to not only abroad manufacture, but also local manufacture? Can you do certain products locally? And I know this really just depends on your scenario and your product, but for those of you that could potentially do that, that's something you can think about as well. Another thing is that you could also do your thorough research on the manufacturing plant that you are contemplating on going through with option number 2. And you can look at the working conditions yourself, and you can speak to the employees, and you can ask them about their experience working with the respected companies, and you can really learn about what it's like to work with these abroad companies that are going to be helping you manufacture your product. You can talk to people that have worked with them in the past. There's lots of resources for you to learn about the different types of options that you have available with option number 2. Now, I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed putting on your business hat for the day. And if you guys have any questions, of course, please make sure to write them down, and I'll get to them at the end of this video. Okay, that concludes today's video. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Today also marks the last video in our module series. I hope you all not only learned something, but also enjoyed your time with us. I know I really did. I had so much fun teaching you all the different concepts that we covered. Wishing you all the best. Until next time, goodbye.